Hello YouTube and hello 9th Age community. This is Charles with Evershade Gaming and I'm bringing you another 9th Age battle report. I'm actually going to make this video about two battle reports. They're both games I played at Battlecry GT. It's been a few weeks. I've been a little busy just with school and with life, but I'm here now to bring this battle report, and I'm putting these two battle reports back to back because honestly they were like the same game, because I played two OgreCon players, and the OgreCon players took such similar lists. Minor changes here or there, but the core was almost identical, and then their special was almost identical, and then they both had like a rock, and their characters were very same. They had no magic, so the lists were just so similar that I figured I'll make just one giant battle report. So strap yourselves in. If you have something to strap yourself in, this is the time to strap yourself in and get ready to watch an avalanche of flesh. So let's look at the OgreCon player lists. So I played Frank Marshal in round 3 of Battlecry GT, and this is a list. You know, he's got like a solid Great Khan with the Crown of Scorn, Hell Fist. He's got a lot of tribesmen core. They all got Iron Fists. He's got 3 Tuskers. They got the Aether Icon. That's nice. And he's got 6 Mercenary Vets. Always good. They got, you know, decent upgrades. Poison Attack, Swift Stride. 3 drops of 3 Bombardiers, which are all really annoying. And then a Rock. So, solid. Good list. I mean, it's a solid list. I can understand why you'd want to run it. And then the last guy I played, the last game I played, 5th round, I played Brandon Phelps, and this is his OgreCon list. So again, it looks really similar. He's got a Great Khan, the Hellfist, a little bit different build, a little bit more survivable build, I would say. And then he's got the Sexter Khan with the Crown of Scorn, which I thought that was a little bit strange. It seems like it ate up points in the list, but he's got, you know, the same. I like his core a little bit better, because I think the 3 drops of Tribesmen are better than the 4 drops. Because the 3 drops, you gotta kill every ogre to get any points in that unit. And then he's got a big thing in Tusker Cav, also eating up more points. But hey, I mean, that's a tough unit to crack. The 3 drops, the 3 Bombardiers. The Scrad Pult was interesting. I think it did work for him in our game. And then he's still got the Rock too. So just very similar lists. So we're putting these battle reports back to back. I'm gonna put my list in the description of this video. I don't want to go over it again. I did that in my first video. But for reference, it'll be in the description. The spells I got, however, I got Pyromancy Flow, Scorching Salvo, Immolation, and Enveloping Embers. The only other spell I would have liked to have had was probably Flaming Sword, or definitely Flaming Sword would have helped out a lot in this list. But you can't get everything. For game 3, it's called Messenger. We didn't have messengers. The assassin woke up and killed their messenger, and the same happened to you, and then it's encircle and secure target. So we started trading drops. I put the demis down on my right, next to some Flaggellants. I had a cannon in the woods, and I put my Reiters on this side of the board too, and then you can just see my Arcane engine next to that cannon. On the other side of the Arcane engine, I have my big block of heavy infantry, my 9 core knights, and then my wizard bunkers next to the core knights. I have my Flaggellants forward because I got the defender for this scenario for the deployment, and I have my mortar behind the Halberds or the heavy infantry. And then my opponent's deployment, he's got his Tuskers all the way to my left, his right, and he put his Merc Vets next to him, and then he's got all 3 of his Bombardiers in a row. And 2 of them are in a field, which was actually really fortunate for me turn 1, because I did drop to get turn 1. And then in the middle of the board, he's got his Rock in the middle, and then all his tribesmen on the other side of the Rock. So it's kind of an interesting deployment. He kind of stacked, he stacked the opposite sides with like all the same types of units. He might have benefited from having them kind of spreading out the the tribesmen and the bombardiers, but yeah. EoS turn 1, I throw a steady min on my heavy infantry, and then I don't really move up too much. I've kind of got a lot of range threats. He's got those bombardiers, but in the magic phase, I get a nice 11 to 6 dice, and the first thing I do is a Scorching Salvo, and it really hurt all those. I mean, I killed one ogre on each one, and I killed 2 ogres on another one. I don't know if I got too many other spells off that. I just know the Scorching Salvo did some work right at the beginning of the magic phase. I also miscast Scorching Salvo and killed a bunch of archers. And then the shooting phase, the Reiters shoot at these Prison, don't do anything. And then in my first turn, both cannons hit, wounded, and did 2 wounds each. So the Rock was down to just 2 wounds at the beginning of his turn, which was awesome. And Ogre Kingdom's turn 1. That piece of picture in the picture is also one of the objective markers for our game. So the weird thing about these Ogre Kingdom lists is, or OgreCon lists, is their turns are really fast. It's like they pretty much push forward. They might be a little bit cautious here or there, against some select targets. I wish I took a picture of my turn 1 movement where I went. But yeah, they push forward and then they shoot. So during the shooting phase, one of the Bombardiers shot at my Flaggellants. They did 1 wound to this unit in the picture, and they shot some other places, but they didn't do anything else. So it's just really fast turns without any magic. So at the start of EoS turn 2, I charge. He moved up both his. I should have took more pictures. I wish I took more pictures, unfortunately. But he charges. I charge both of his small tribesman units with my Flaggellants and my Arcane Engine going into one, and then my Knights of the Sun Griffon going into the other one. I moved my Flaggellants to kind of chaff both of these Ogre units, because they flew up, but I just kind of parked the Flaggellants right in front of them. And then this is a great shot of what the game looks like in turn 2. Both sides, his side and my side. In the match phase, I only get 4 to 2 dice, and I don't have it that I got any spells down. I just have it that I drew out the Crown of Scorn, so that's good too. In the shooting phase, one of my cannons hits, just does 1 wound to the Rock, which is fine. It's down to 1 wound left. And then I have another cannon that misfires this turn, and I don't have any notes on Mortar. I think my Mortar kept shooting the Rock. I think it was hitting and maybe not wounding or something like that, because it's only strength 6, so that makes sense. I don't remember getting a lot of impact hits with the Arcane Engine, and the Flaggellants did okay. We killed 2 ogres. He killed a decent amount of Flaggellants between all his attacks and all his stomps. He just gets. He hits on a 4-up. With like the distracting and the flail bonus kind of mixing out. So unfortunately that unit stuck. I was really hoping to break that unit and run them down with the Flaggellants, maybe even the engine too, and then get past his other big block, and then put my Halberds forward to fight that block, because I think I just win that grind even with like his lord in there. But they stuck, unfortunately. And then in the Demigriff combat, my opponent really just couldn't do any damage to the Griff Knights, so they were able to hold, or they were able to just kind of break them and run them down, which was good. And then in OgreCon's turn 2, the Tusker Cav decide they want to charge the Flaggellants. The mercenary veterans don't really want to deal with it. And my opponent uses that 1 unit holding to his advantage, and he charges the Arcane Engine. And then this is just my opponent. I think he might have took 1 dangerous strain. I think that's why I took a second picture of them charging. And then this is how my opponent moves at the end of the turn. So some of the Bombardiers have gotten really close now. He's using his Rock to chaff my Halberds, and sort of also the Bombardiers to chaff my Knights, and then he's also kind of trying to get his mercenary veterans over to the center, because there's a lot going on the other side of the battlefield. So in the combat phase, impact hits only kill 1 Flagellant, and then the Flagellants go and they kill 1 Tusker, and then the Tuskers go and they leave 1 Flagellant alive. So unfortunately my opponent's going to have to deal with that in the next turn. And then the Arcane Engine combat was kind of crazy, actually. Impact hits only do 1 wound onto the Arcane Engine, and then the Flagellants kill off the rest of the Ogres. And the Flagellants were not in base contact with the Tribesman block, so they just peeled off. And the engine actually held, because the Tribesmen wounded so, like, they just rolled poorly, you know. Like, the distracting was kind of huge, actually, with the cart on itself. And they just rolled really poorly to hit and a wound too. Because I mean, he hit with some attack still. He just did a wound, you know. So that was really surprising, having the cart stick. So EoS turn 3. My Knight Commander has had enough of sitting around, and he decides he wants to go take on the Rock. So he charges out by himself, and then the Flagellants, they go back into the Ogre Tribesmen. They're hungry for more. We both kind of reformed at the end of the phase to get more models in context, so that left room for the Flagellants. And in the Magic phase, I get 12 dice to 6. I start with the 6 spell on the Merc Vets, mostly because I want to do fireballs on the Bombardiers. Pretty much by the end of the Magic phase, as you can see, I get rid of the 1 single Bombardier that was left, and then the unit of 2 Bombardiers too, with, you know, between, you know, different fireballs and the Pyroclastic Flow. I was just able to kind of just, and the ring of fire too. Just between all those, I was able to get rid of those 2 units, which was awesome. My Knight Commander charges in, and with his Sonnstahl, deals the last wound onto the Rock, and then, enjoying it so much, he overruns and gets in the flank of these Ogres. And, oh, that felt so good. So in this combat, my Knight Commander and his Ogre Con, his general, get into a challenge. I go first, I'm initiative 6, I do 2 wounds. I think he just had an armor save, because he's like the Mammoth Hide thing, which is really, unfortunately, not good against the Sonnstahl. So I do 2 wounds. He goes, you know, with like distracting and everything, he only hits twice, and he's got like 6 attacks too. He only hits twice, and then the lucky shield 1 of them, and then he doesn't wound with his like 1 strength 5 attack. And then, but he's got the Exburger Gauntlet, and he rolls the dice. He gets a 1, so he doesn't even break my Sonnstahl in the combat. And this was when I started feeling like, oh, this might just be a terrible game for my opponent here. The other Ogres do not, they only do 1 more wound to the Arcane Engine, which is crazy, and then I only lose 1 Flagellant too, and I do some wounds on the Ogres. So we win that combat, but he sticks. The Tuskers have no problem killing the last crazed Flagellant. And then Ogre Con's turn 3. That other white piece of paper, unfortunately I was just using white piece of paper all over this game, is the spell Immolation. And it forced my opponent to turn his mercenary veterans. So now their front is the 2 models that are closest to my board edge in that picture. So he turned it around and he moved them forward, because I mean, even if he was only taking, each guy was going to take like 1 strength 4 attack. It's pretty much kills an ogre, and at this point, that's like his only, it's like his main combat block right now, because he's pretty much, that Tribesman block's not doing very well, unfortunately. So, and he's still hoping. I think he was still hoping to kind of sneak around that impassable terrain. That's working really well to my advantage this game. This combat goes well again. My Knight Commander hits 3 more times and kills his con. He didn't remove him. I don't think he wanted to, because he was upset, which understandably so. Like I rolled really well and he rolled really poorly. This unit does stick though this round of combat, because they still got the Hellfist in the army. So at the start of EoS turn 4, I charged my 9 knights into his Tuskers. I'm hoping to perhaps break that unit with those 9 guys. The knights originally charged those bombardiers, and they fled from that charge. And now my riders have kind of made their way over, and they're going to try and deal with those guys for the rest of the game. So in the Magic phase, it is not too eventful. It's a 7-4 phase, but I'm just kind of running out of spells a little bit ever since I lost Scorching Salvo. There isn't even that many targets, but I really just have the Ring and Pyroclastic Flow that I'm putting on the Mercenary Veterans, but he's able to stop a couple of them, so I'm not really doing any damage there, unfortunately. With the help of the Knights of the Sun Griffon, who charged the flank of the tribesmen, we finally beat down. I think there was like one guy left with a wound who ran, and we pursued with everything. Pursued with everything but the Knights, actually, because they're right on top of an objective, and they just sit there the rest of the game. The Knights, they do 2 wounds to the Tuskers. The Tuskers do a wound back. I win the combat by 2, but he's got the Help Fist, so he sticks, which was kind of stunk, but it's okay. And then in Ogre King's turn 4, he does 1 more wound in the night combat. I stick. And then he actually, in the movement phase, he flipped around his unit of mercenary veterans to pretty much just take care of those knights, because there is a scoring marker right there, and if you can kill those knights, that's not a bad chunk of points. The start of EoS turn 5. My knight commander has been very brazen this game. And he just decides that, you know what, those mercenary veterans, they gave me their rear, I'm going to charge it. So he charges the rear, and it's nice, because with the way the Dungeons Train was, you can only really make contact with the one ogre in the corner. So it's kind of hoping I can break that guy. We'll see. In the shooting phase, the Reiters kill one of the Bombardiers, and he actually panics again. He did rally a previous turn. And then in the magic phase, I don't really have any combat buffs. So I just get the divination spell off on my knights, I think, so they can start striking first. They were striking Simo. I mean, the weapon skill unfortunately doesn't matter because they already were a higher weapon skill, I think. Or they were. Oh, it doesn't matter because he's got the Iron Fist anyway. But I mostly actually did it so that they could get the 3d6 leadership test, because I was worried about failing. I think the first round I used my Gleaming icon or something like that for the fear test. So the fear tests are scaring me every round. EoS turn 6. I know I skipped entirely Ogre Kingdom's turn 5, but he had everything in combat. So the combats on both our turns, the Knight Commander went in, I think he killed an Ogre, because, he wasn't even being parried, and then, but he passed, because he was steadfast with Leadership 8, so he passed his break tests, and then the Knights, they all stayed, and as you can see in the picture, they've been whittling down the Tuskers. There's just 1 Tusker left. There's 3 in this picture at the start of my turn, because the Knight Commander's been going hand. He's been killing 1 tribesman a turn. He hasn't been taking any damage. He's got distracting up. He's still got his 1-up armor save, so that's been really good. And then in the magic phase, I just kind of get a couple buffs off. Don't really matter. The Knight Commander finally breaks the mercenary veterans, and then he overruns into the Tusker, kills the last Tusker, and that's where the game ends. So yeah, it was kind of a crazy end. I feel like I was moving a lot of things almost for no reason, because the Knight Commander just did everything basically. It was ridiculous. So the end of the game result for the 3rd round for me was 20-0. Really, no questions asked about that. I had the objectives. I took off every model. I still had a ton of stuff. I think I only lost 1 Flagellant block, actually. I think that's the only unit he killed, which was crazy. And it was really, I just feel like I have to owe it all up to the Knight Commander. He went crazy this game. He killed the Rock, which, only had 1 wound, so it would have been hard for him to not kill it with 1 wound. He killed the General, that was crazy. He helped finish off that tribesman block, the block of 7 that was holding up the engine and the Flagellants. He killed the mercenary veterans single-handedly, and then he finished off the Tusker cap. It's 5 units. Oh my gosh, it was awesome. So some really good rolls. I think some bad positioning by my opponent in regards to how well the Knight Commander did. But I feel like I had a decent matchup because I had a lot of shooting with my artillery and pyromancy. I mean, Scorching Salvo was so good turn 1. I was really sad to lose that spell because just look at the picture. I mean, it killed 5 bombardiers. 5 bombardiers died from 1 spell, like in 3 separate units. Like, that's awesome. So yeah, this was a good game for me. Really poor game from my opponent. He also just didn't have some great rolls. He had a lot of trouble shooting at my knights. I was just making armor saves. He'd do like 1 or 2 wounds. Like with one of his units, and I'd make 2 armor saves. So that was pretty rough for my opponent. So, but let's move right into game 5. I would like to say that the 2 OgreCon games, I felt like I rolled up the worst spell, or like the worst selection of spells both games. So in this game, I got Cascading Fire, I got Flaming Sword, I got Scorching Salvo, and I got Immolation. So I didn't get my Classic Flow. That was really rough. So I feel like already with my magic, I was giving my opponent a helping hand. The last scenario that we had for Battlecry was Pure Poundage. So line them up. Push them across. So looks like models are back on the menu, boys.
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys. Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys. Looks like man flesh back on the menu, boys. You're bringing the knockup. Looks like
models
back on the menu, boys.
Alright, all fun and games aside, we're playing Frontline Clash and Classic Deployment, so my opponent picked Tableside. I let him drop first, because he had a lot of drops, and he actually just put everything down, and he got turn 1. So, probably the best way to play this army list is just get turn 1 and push everything forward. So that's part of his deployment. I put 2 of his bombardiers, kind of on either side of his Tusker cab, and then he put a unit of tribesmen next to them in the woods, and he's got his Rock kind of in the middle of the board. All the models at the bottom of the screen, all my models, I haven't deployed them yet. I just kind of he just dropped everything, I just took pictures. We're also playing Breakthrough, I didn't mention that. And then this is the rest of the deployment, so he's got his big block of tribesmen in the middle, and 2 more things, and then another bombardier unit, and then the thunder cannon is the Stratapult, actually. So looks like a cannon, Stratapult though. Gotta have that in mind all game. I just say that I despise when your opponent drops their entire army, because I find it so hard, because you have to take advantage of it. You have to out-deploy them at this point. But, oh my gosh, I feel like it takes me always 20 or 30 minutes longer. Not really that long, but it takes me forever, I feel like, to deploy like this. But, so after stating that, I dropped my Knights of the Sun Griffon on the left. They're one of my faster units. I think they can wrap around and do a lot of damage on that side of the board. And then I place my heavy infantry in the water. I'm not really too worried. They're going to move out pretty easily. Got my 2 cannons over there, and I got my Arcane engine, and then you can just see my Knights, and then I dropped both of my Flaggellants in the middle to chap things. Dropped my Reiters in the middle because I didn't really know where I wanted them. I couldn't put them on the right side, otherwise they would just been shot off the board. And the Mortar didn't really have a good target, so it just dropped in the middle, and then the Archers are going to be a speed bump for the Tuskers. So Ogre Kingdom's turn 1. He moves up with everything. The only thing that holds back a little bit is the Rock and the leftmost unit of Bombardiers. In the shooting phase, it kills a couple of Flaggellants with some Bombardiers. Does a wound with some other Bombardiers to the Knights. And then EoS turn 1. Steady men, and I move up like this. So I'm not too worried with anything charging the Knights of the Sun Griffon. The Griffs kind of just beat any ogre on the grind. It's going to be hard for them to get through my armor. I just didn't know what to do with my Reiters this game. I wish I held them back, but I ended up using them as chaff turn 1, and then I move up with my center. Magic was really poor the first round. I only got 10 to 6 dice, but I think I failed to cast Scorching Salvo, and then he just dispelled everything else. I think I failed. I might even fail to cast a couple things. In the shooting phase, however, one cannon hits and does 2 wounds, which was great. And the Reiters do a couple wounds to the Ogre block, which is okay. So, Ogre Khan's turn 2, they charge the Reiters, do stand and shoot, do a couple wounds to the Ogres, and then the Tusker Cav also charge the Archers. And these Ogres tried to charge, but failed charging the Flaggellants. And this is how the rest of the board looks. So he's chaffing me up with the Tribesmen over the Knights of the Sun Griffin, and then he's just kind of holding back with a couple elements like the Rock. In the shooting phase, he does a wound to the Knights. And then, gosh, he must have done a bunch of wounds over here, but that is the blurriest picture ever. And then the Scratapult hit and did 3 wounds to the Knights here. And then the Tribesmen easily polish off the Reiters, and so do the Tuskers against the Archers. EoS turn 2. I keep steady men up on the Halberds, the heavy infantry, and I charge the Knights of the Sun Griffin and the Tribesmen that were chaffing them, and I also put the Flaggellants in a good place where they can't get charged. So the magic phase is 12 to 6 dice. You get Scorching Salvo off, and it just kills some Ogres here and there. And then I drop Immolation on right in front of the Tribesmen unit. I get Flaming Swords off on the Mortar. I put the D3 hit on these guys, do another wound, and then I finish the magic phase off with getting Cascading Fire on the Flaggellants, because they're probably going to have to fight something. In the shooting phase, I do another wound to the Rock, and the Mortar hits and this Tribesman block and does a little bit of damage. In the combat round, those Hellfists are just too good. He ends up doing 2 wounds to me. I just roll poorly on my armor saves, and I only kill 1, actually. I couldn't believe it. I think I made it did like 4 or 5 wounds, but I only killed 1 actual Ogre. Yeah, he just ran, and then I just decided to just stick because I was worried about pursuing and then getting countercharged by, like 3 Ogre units. That doesn't sound good at this point, so that's how it looks at the end of the combat round. Ogre Kingdom's turn 3. He charges the Flaggellants. He restrains with his Rock. He chasts me up again with his Tribesmen, as you can see, and then he just kind of keeps closing in. It's funny, I thought that I would be closing in with the Knights of Sun Griffin, but they just get stuck fighting too many Ogres. In the magic phase, my opponent dispels Cascading Fire, which was a great idea. And then the shooting phase, he kills these last 3 surviving Flaggellants. And then I believe the Scratapult hit, but it didn't really do that many wounds, actually. It only killed like 8 guys or something like that, which is really bad. And then at the end of combat, it looks like that. So he kills 7 Flaggellants. I kill 2 Ogres and do a wound in another one. So pretty good. I think he won with the charge, but I was unbreakable. EoS turn 3. We do Steady Men on the heavy infantry, and they charge the 2 small Tribesmen. That lets me kind of maneuver around a little bit more. My Knights start facing off these Tuskers because they're the only thing that can possibly deal with them at this point. My Griffs move a little bit forward, and then I'm just kind of getting in position to try and just deal with all these units. That's the thing. He's just getting these MSU Ogres got a lot of tough units. In the magic phase, I get 12 to 6 dice to start putting put Immolation in front of the big Tribesman block. Get Flaming Swords off on my heavy infantry. I also get Molin's Blessing on my heavy infantry. I really just want to make sure I kill those 2 Ogres, because if you don't kill them, you don't get their points. In the shooting phase, one of my cannons misfires. Another one of my cannons hits and does 2 wounds. So the Rock's sitting with just 1 wound remaining. The Ogre kills 1 more Flagellant, and the Flagellants kill the last Ogre. And the Heavy Infantry have no problem killing those 2 Ogres. And this is how the Flagellants performed as well. So, at the start of Ogre King's turn 4, both the Tuskers and the Rock declare long charges on the Knight Commander's unit, the Core Knights, and they both thankfully fail, which was great, because I could not have fought both of those units. I think one was an 11, one was a 12, so they're kind of like long charges, but yeah, it doesn't really put them at too much disadvantage. Because the Rock would have, it would have died going into the Heavy Infantry. I've got +1 to wound and rerolls to wound up right now, so, and he couldn't really dispel those in the magic phase. So I think it was worth the shot. Some ogres, I think, kill some Heavy Infantry with the shooting, and then I lose more knights. Oh man, I just cannot make it. I'm just making no armor saves this game. EoS turn 4, I keep steady men up on the Heavy Infantry. My Knight Commander's trying to be very heroic, and he charges the Tusker Cav. And the Knights of Sun Griffon charge these Bombardiers, and they stand shoot, and they kill one. And I failed my first panic test, but I thankfully passed my second one because my BSB was near. And then I'm just kind of holding down the center with my Heavy Infantry. In the magic phase, I get Cascading Fire on the Knights. I killed the Rock with something. I'm not entirely sure. This is where my notes went away, and it was just like pictures. Do some wound to these Bombardiers. In the combat phase, I'm able to crush the Bombardiers, and I overrun to get out of the arc of these Gratapults. And then over here, this was really sad. So I charge in, it's like the Knight Commander on 3 knights. The odds were stacked against them. But my first roll with the Knight Commander, he hits all his attacks. I'm like, okay, this might work out in the end. I might just kind of win with combat res and like stick around and just kind of keep whittling down these guys with the Knight Commander. But my opponent's like, oh, could you take a fear test? I'm like, no problem. Of course I fail it. So my 4 hits goes down to 2 hits to the Knight Commander. The Knights do 1 or 2 more wounds. I can't remember. But I think... and then he ends up doing 2 wounds to my Knight Commander. And he did 2 wounds to the unit. So when it's all said and done, I think he actually won combat by 1. And, we couldn't pass that leadership A test either. So they end up running, and they can't get away, and they get pursued down by the Tusker Cav. The Tusker Cav then charge the Mortar, and the Tribesmen, the 2 characters, and the Scratapult go for it, and they go into the Heavy Infantry. In the combat phase, Tuskers easily kill a Mortar, overrun the cannon. My opponent puts a couple attacks on the Wizard, and I think he just manages to only do 1 wound to him. And impact hits kill 5 Halberds, which is not too crazy. He's got 2 D3s. And then I like how it just goes from impact hits to the end of the combat phase. The Halberds did have Flaming Sword up at this point. No, I don't think they have Flaming Sword up. I think just with Hatred and normal rolls, pretty much kill all the ogres. They must have had something up, because they did some work on those ogres. And then the crazy thing is, this is going into the next round, they actually do work on the characters. In my magic phase, I got Flaming Sword off. And I did 3 wounds to his general and 1 wound to the hero. And a couple more wounds to like the champion, and then we both overrun. He got away. We both went through the immolation, and it killed the champion, which ended up sucking. Because you'll see why in a little bit. And then it killed some Halberds, but they were fine with it. It was just kind of unfortunate that I just kind of totally I totally forgot to dispel that spell the previous turn. The Tuskers kill the cannon and reform, and then on the Ogre King's turn, he attempts to charge the rear of my heavy infantry, but fails. And then this was the worst. So with the if that one tribesman had been alive, he would have been like on leadership 4, I think. I'd say probably leadership 5 with a reroll. And he might have kept fleeing. And then if he kept fleeing, I would have got so many points. I would have got all the points for the tribesmen, which I did get because the champion died. But I would have got half points on both those characters because they would have been fleeing at the end of the game. So that was really unfortunate. That the one, I hit with immolation and I picked out each model, and then I didn't wound the character, I didn't wound the hero, but then I wound the champion, and he doesn't make a 6-up armor save. But what can you? And then on my last turn, the only thing I'd really do is the objective was breakthrough, and I had my Knights of Sun Griffon on his side of the field. He had his Tuskers, and then he had a unit of tribesmen. And Bombardiers might be scoring, I can't remember, but he had 2 scoring units on my side. Pretty much in the magic phase between Scorching Salvo and Fireball, I'm able to finish off. I'm actually able to kill one of his scoring units. I might even use a cannon a little bit or something like that. But yeah, I just ended up whittling it down. Thankfully, actually, I think I had 1 cannon left at the end of the game. But the end of the game ends up being a 10-10. Actually, we were really close. I took a lot of his units. He took a lot of mine. It was actually a really fun game. It's probably my funnest game at Battlecry, mostly because it was round 5. And it's I haven't done all my battle reports yet, but I did okay. I went 2-2-1, this being the tie. And I had 2 close games the first day, and then I had a 20-0 my last game the first day. So I felt pretty good about the first day. And then it started off Sunday morning with a big loss to UD. I'll get that battle report made soon. So this was a great game. And then I have a few things I'd like to say about the Ogre Cons. So when I look at the Ogre book, to me, most options are well balanced. I think the monsters are well balanced. Obviously, I think the Rock is everybody's favorite right now. Those impact hits are really strong, but the Frost Mammoth is not a bad choice. It has 4 active phases. It's decently fast. It has a shooting option. It has 2 Ogre crossbows on it, and it has bounce spell, and it's still decent in combat. To me, when I look at the book, I think most options look solid. Bombardiers are solid. The specials looks great. There really isn't a bad unit. I think Yetis are still solid as small units on the flanks, or even, I heard people like to use them as chaff. I could totally buy that. So to me, I look at the book, I think it looks internally balanced, except for the Hellfist, because the Hellfist is too good. And it's great that it allows ogres to run as an MSU army, but I don't know, they need to do something with that, because right now it's just too good as with one of the big names. And then this was interesting too, because all 3 of the lists at Battlecry, all 3 OgreCon lists, were almost the same thing. Hellfist Con with Tribesman Core, all with Iron Fists, of course, and then Bombardiers and Special, some kind of Tuskers, and then there was just some small variations between Merkfets and maybe more artillery weapons. Which is okay. At least there was some variance in the list. I'm glad it wasn't just literally everybody copy and pasted the same OgreCon list. And I think the biggest problem, and they all had no magic, and I think the biggest problem about why the Hellfist list looks so good without magic is, to me, Thaumaturgy. You're restricted to Thaumaturgy. And to me, Thaumaturgy is just such a random lore. Magic right now in 1.3, we're getting ready to change it to be a little less random, but right now, Magic's random. You never know how much you're going to get with the wins. And then,
then you have, even when you have big wins, you never know if you're going to have a bad roll with your first spell. So I totally understand why, if you're running a Hellfist army, that you look at your army and you have a lot of shooting, you're like, I don't even need magic. You know, I just run forward with my bombardiers and everything, and I'll just blow everything away. It totally makes sense. Especially because, oh man, you know what the worst spell in Thaumaturgy is Trial of Faith. Imagine casting Trial of Faith. You got your ogre mercenary veterans into some sword masters, and imagine casting Trial of Faith and getting -1 toughness instead of -1 strength off. What a great spell! You know, like, it did so much for you in that instance. So yeah, it's just, yeah, Thaumaturgy is not a great looking lore to me right now. So I can see why they're not running magic. And then, yeah, the MSU is cool. I think they just need to. I think they need to change the emphasis with the characters if you're going to take a Hellfist. Like, you know, make the con 0 to 1 or something like that. Like, if you have a Hellfist, like, you have a single con running your army, and he's the big bad guy, and he's doing all the work. He's the guy that inspires all the ogres to stick around because he feeds them or whatever. I don't know. They just have to do something better with the characters, because otherwise that's when the eternal balance breaks down, I think, is when the Hellfist goes on to the main character. Because my opponent had that one hero level con, lower level con. I can't think what they're called right now, Coggins or something like that. And man, I was kind of like, I kind of looked at, like, I'm kind of thinking about it afterwards. Like, that guy really didn't do much. He was either moving too much to use his skull splitter. Like, he had the crown, but I don't know why my opponent didn't have the crown. I mean, I guess his main con was a little more defensive. It didn't really work for him, though, because I had flaming attacks against this regen. So, I don't know. I guess I didn't really find that second con all that effective for my opponent. And then, the biggest critique overall, I feel like everyone who plays ogres could probably say this. Iron Fists are just too good. They just do too much. And I know I've said this before in other ogre reports and other on the forums. I don't know if I've said it exclusively in battle reports, but I know I've said it on the forums that, man, it's just any ogre unit can take the Iron Fist is going to take it over any other mundane equipment. Even characters are taking Iron Fists over other mundane equipments because they're just too good. You get you get the armor, you get the parry, you get the initiative and the attack boost. To me, I don't know, I was just thinking about this when I was making this battle report. I think that the Iron Fist should be able to serve as both a shield and a additional hand weapon, but maybe not at the same time. Maybe drop its point cost, and you can choose whether or not you want it to be a shield, parrying, and giving you armor, or if you want it to be an additional hand weapon, giving you +1 attack and initiative. That way, you have a couple different modes. It's almost like you have Weapon Master with it, but not just both at the same time. That's too good. Yeah, and that's all I'm gonna say about Ogre Cons. Thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful day. Have a stellar afternoon. And I'll see you soon with another 9th Age battle report.
What we do here is go back.